Okay, let's try one more short little passage to help us practice summarizing informational texts. Now, remember that informational texts are texts that are to inform us and they teach us something. So here we go. Dorothea Lange was an American photographer. She was born in Hoboken, New Jersey on May 26, 1895. Early in her career, she took portraits for a living in San Francisco. Though she lived for a time in the Southwest, she returned to San Francisco in the early 30s. By then, the Great Depression of the 1930s had begun. Lange became best known for her black and white photos of poor migrant farm workers. Life was very hard for them in the 30s. They went to California to find work, but there were few jobs to be had. When jobs could be found, the pay was very low. Lange hoped her photos would get the government and other groups to help. Her pictures brought the world's attention to the migrant workers' situation. Dorothea Lange passed away on October 11, 1965. Today, her work lives on in museums, galleries, and books. Okay, so thinking back to the passage, whenever you're trying to summarize something that you've read, you think about the whole entire thing, what you learned from this passage, what it was mostly about. Right away, even in looking at this first sentence, we know that this is about a woman named Dorothea Lange, and it tells what she did. And throughout this whole entire passage, it tells us what she was known for and what she did to raise attention to a certain situation during the Great Depression. And it's good because at the ending sentence, the kind of the wrap up, it says that her work lives on in museums, galleries, and books. So we know that this is a very important person. So let's read through these questions to see what they want us to do as far as summarizing goes. Number 1, which idea should be included in a summary of the second paragraph? Now, whenever it tells us a specific paragraph to pay attention to in our question, it's a good idea to go back and read it. Let's look at these answer choices, and then we can go back in the paragraph. So again, which idea should be included in a summary of the second paragraph? A, Lange took photos of struggling migrant workers, and she brought attention to their suffering. B, many migrant farm workers came out west looking for work, but the pay was very low. C, Lange's photographs appear in many books, and she passed away on October 11, 1965. Or D, there were few jobs during the Depression, and Lange's photographs appear in museums. Now, if you were going to retell what happened in paragraph 2 to somebody, which one of these details would you make sure to include them? Which one is the most important whenever you're summarizing what you read in this paragraph? Number 2, a summary of the second paragraph should include the idea that A, Lange photographed people in bread lines. B, Lange's photos reached a wide audience. C, there are many books about Lange's work. Or D, migrant workers moved around to find work. Okay, now this one's a little bit more tricky, but again, it tells us a big hint. A summary of the second paragraph. So again, go back to that second paragraph and see what it's about. Which one of these answer choices has that information in the second paragraph? Okay, number 3. Choose the sentence, the best sentence, to summarize how the Great Depression affected Lange's work. Now, if there is ever a time where you do not understand what a question is asking you, it's okay to answer. Whenever we get to K-Prep, your teachers or your proctor is not going to be able to share that much information with you. But as far as classwork goes and common assessments goes, please ask. So it says, choose the best sentence to summarize how the Great Depression affected Lange's work. Now, we know she was a photographer. That was her work. So how did the Great Depression change or cause change to Lange's work? Did she have to focus on something different instead of doing portraits? So let's look at these answer choices. Is it A, the Depression stretched on through the 30s, leaving a large portion of the country out of work and struggling? B, before the Depression began, Lang made her living taking people's portraits in San Francisco. C, the Depression caused a shift in Lang's career as she began to focus on recording the hardships of the Depression. Or D, Lang moved to California during the Depression, far from her childhood home in New Jersey. So which one of these sentences best summarizes how the Great Depression affected her work or affected what she did? Again, go back in the text and look, okay? Right here in the second paragraph is where a lot of this information is. All right, number 4. Based on the passage, which sentence best summarizes Dorothea Lange's photography? A, Dorothea Lange's photography shows how people lived in California. B, Dorothea Lange was a photographer who lived from 1895 to 1965. C, the photographs show that farms in the 30s offered too few jobs. Or D, Lang was best known for photographing the faces of the Great Depression. Again, make sure that you think back to what this whole entire passage is about. Okay, what are the big takeaways? What is it teaching you about? Okay, once you think you have your answer choices, go ahead and answer them in this Google form. I hope you've done a great job. We will talk about your results.